Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you love powerful true stories that really make you think, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on more incredible tales like this one. Today, we're diving into a story about dignity, respect, and a moment that truly humbled someone in power. It all unfolded on a sunny Saturday morning at the annual Veterans Appreciation Parade downtown. The city streets were absolutely buzzing. Families everywhere, delicious smells from food trucks, live music filling the air. Just a perfect community celebration for those who've served our country. Amidst all this joyful chaos was Danielle Porter. She's a calm, confident black woman in her late 30s, dressed casually in jeans and a gray jacket, with a small but significant navy pin glinting on her collar. Danielle was just enjoying the sunshine, taking it all in, keeping to herself. It was her day to relax and appreciate, just like everyone else. But a few feet away, scanning the crowd with a watchful eye, was Officer Bradley Ross. Now, Ross had a reputation. Let's just say he was known for his short temper and an even shorter fuse. He wasn't exactly the picture of community policing. The moment everything shifted was when Danielle, with her natural kindness, paused to help an elderly woman navigate the bustling street. A simple act of courtesy, right? But Ross saw it differently. He assumed the absolute worst. From his perspective, something was wrong. "Hey," he barked, his voice cutting through the festive atmosphere. "Step away from the lady!" Danielle, understandably surprised, turned towards him. "Excuse me?" she asked, her voice calm despite the sudden confrontation. Ross wasn't having it. "You heard me," he retorted, striding closer, his body language aggressive. "What are you doing here?" Danielle blinked, genuinely confused. "Helping her," she stated plainly, gesturing slightly towards the elderly woman who was now looking uncomfortable. He narrowed his eyes, his suspicion clearly visible. "You don't belong here. What's in your pocket?" "Just my phone," she replied evenly, her composure unwavering. She had nothing to hide, but Ross wasn't listening. He stepped even closer, his hand hovering menacingly over his holster, a clear threat. "Don't move." Danielle's tone remained remarkably calm, a stark contrast to his rising aggression. "Officer, you're making a mistake." She was trying to de-escalate, to reason with him. He clearly didn't care. Instead of listening, he shoved her shoulder. "I said, don't move, monkey." The festive crowd gasped. The cheers died down. A horrified silence fell, quickly followed by the distinct sound of people pulling out their phones, starting to film. That word, that slur, hung in the air, sickening everyone who heard it. Danielle's eyes hardened in that moment, not with rage or fear, but with a steely, controlled determination. She looked him dead in the eye. "You need to take your hand off me," she stated, her voice quiet but firm. Ross, oblivious to the gravity of his actions and the growing outrage around them, sneered. "Oh yeah? Or what?" He clearly thought he had the upper hand, that he was dealing with someone he could easily intimidate. He was about to learn a very painful lesson. Without another word, Danielle acted. It was a fluid, almost instantaneous motion. She shifted her weight, hooked his wrist with precision, and in one flawless move she disarmed him. His own weapon was now in her hand, pointed safely downward, away from anyone in the crowd, away from him. The crowd roared, not in anger yet, but in absolute shock and disbelief at what they had just witnessed. Ross stumbled back, clutching his now empty hand, his face a mixture of confusion and dawning panic. What are you?" he stammered, utterly bewildered. Danielle, still perfectly calm, unloaded the magazine, cleared the chamber, rendering the weapon completely safe. Then, she deliberately, almost ceremoniously, set the gun on the hood of his nearby patrol car. "I'm returning this for everyone's safety," she said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. Her composure was astounding. Just as this unbelievable scene was unfolding, another officer, drawn by the commotion, rushed in, gun already raised, ready to intervene. But then he saw it, clipped to Danielle's belt, a badge. And it wasn't a police-issued badge, it was federal. He lowered his weapon, his eyes widening as he read the inscription aloud, his voice full of disbelief. Lieutenant Commander Danielle Porter, U.S. Navy SEAL, retired. The silence that followed was deafening. The entire crowd, the officers, Ross himself, everyone was absolutely stunned. Ross's face, which had been red with anger moments before, drained completely of color. He could barely get the words out. "You're a Navy SEAL?" he whispered, as if he'd seen a ghost. Danielle crossed her arms, a slight, almost imperceptible smirk playing on her lips. Was. Retired, but apparently still capable of defending myself. Her words were delivered with quiet power, a mic drop moment if ever there was one. The other officer, still processing the shock, was quick to try and salvage the situation. "Ma'am, please accept our apologies," but Danielle cut him off, her gaze still fixed on Ross. "Don't apologize for him. Teach him." It was a powerful, direct challenge, not just to Ross, but to the entire department. And that's when the crowd erupted. Cheers, shouts of approval, hands raising phones even higher to capture every single second. Someone yelled, "That's what respect looks like!" The message was clear. Dignity had won. Ross, now completely humiliated, stammered, You can't do that to an officer." He was desperately trying to cling to some shred of authority. Danielle looked him squarely in the eye, her voice unwavering. "You can't do that to a citizen." A simple truth, delivered with unshakable conviction. At that precise moment, as if on cue, a local news reporter, mic in hand, pushed through the crowd. "Ma'am, do you have a comment?" Danielle shook her head. "Not for me? Ask him what made him think I didn't belong here." She pointed directly at Ross, putting the spotlight firmly back on his inexcusable behavior. Ross, utterly red-faced, turned away, muttering pathetic excuses, clearly wishing the ground would swallow him whole. Later that very day, the footage of this incredible confrontation went viral. The headline screamed, "Racist cop harasses Navy SEAL, gets humbled in public." The video hit 1 million views in less than 24 hours, spreading like wildfire across the internet. The public reaction was immediate and fierce. Protesters gathered outside the precinct demanding action. Reporters hounded the department for answers and accountability. The pressure mounted, leaving the police department with no choice but to respond. This was too big to ignore. Just 3 days later, Danielle received a formal invitation from the precinct itself. But it wasn't as a witness or a complainant. She was invited as a trainer. When she walked into the conference room, every officer present, including a very sheepish Officer Ross, stood to attention. The chief of police introduced her, his tone somber but respectful. "Lieutenant Commander Porter will be conducting mandatory sensitivity and restraint training. And yes, she outranks most of you, so listen carefully." The message was clear. This was a serious lesson. Danielle nodded, her gaze sweeping across the room. "I'm not here to humiliate anyone," she began, her voice calm and authoritative. "I'm here to make sure what happened doesn't happen again, because respect shouldn't depend on color or uniform." It was about ensuring true justice and dignity for everyone. Ross kept his head down, listening intently. After the session, when the room had cleared out, Ross approached her quietly. He looked genuinely remorseful. "I wanted to say, I'm sorry. I was wrong." The words sounded difficult for him to say, but they were there. Danielle studied him for a long moment, evaluating his sincerity. Then she spoke softly, but with purpose. "Apology accepted, but only if you mean it enough to do better." It wasn't just about saying sorry, it was about demonstrating real change. He nodded, meeting her gaze this time. "I will." It seemed, in that moment, that a seed of true transformation had been planted. Months later, Danielle received a letter in the mail. It was from Ross. Inside was a photograph of him, smiling, volunteering at a veterans community outreach center, actively giving back. The note read, "You were right. Change starts with humility. Thank you for reminding me what duty really means." She smiled, a genuine warm smile, as she folded the letter and carefully placed it beside her navy pin. It was a powerful reminder that some battles aren't fought with weapons, but with dignity, with integrity, and with the courage to demand respect. And sometimes, those are the battles that truly change hearts and minds. What an incredible story, right? It really shows the power of standing your ground with dignity. If this story touched your heart as much as it did mine, please hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments below, and definitely subscribe for more inspiring true stories. We've got so many more to share with you. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day ahead.